How did one I met my mom's text end with a sheriff's deputy handing me divorce papers in front of my coworkers? Why did my husband stay calm for months, then drop one legal result that changed who got the house keys and the school pickup list the same day? I still tell people he tracked me, but the papers said something else. My name is Berenice Larkin, but everyone calls me Bree. I was 34, and I worked as a benefits coordinator at a logistics company. My job was simple. I fixed papers, I answered questions, and I made problems look small. I was good at that. It also made me good at making my own problems look small. At home, I liked things to look perfect. A clean counter, a neat calendar, a family photo on the fridge. I liked the story of us more than us. Ethan, my husband, did not understand that. He was 36 and worked in IT compliance. He talked about rules like they were air. He did not smile when I wanted him to smile. He did not play along when I wanted him to play along. That week started like many weeks. I was in the kitchen early, making coffee and checking my phone. Ethan came in and looked at me too long. He asked why I was up so early. I said I had a lot to do. He asked if my mother was still feeling sick. I said yes, and I added that she needed me more than ever. I watched his face to see if he would argue. He did not. He just nodded once, like he was storing the answer. I told myself he had become cold. I told myself I was the one carrying the family. I told myself a person could only bend so much before they broke. Ethan always acted like my feelings were something to manage, not something to respect. When he said he was tired, I heard excuses. When he said he needed quiet, I heard control. In the afternoon, I sent Ethan a message. I wrote that I was going to my mum's place after work and might be late. He replied with one word, "Okay." That should have made me feel free, but it made me feel unseen. I wanted him to fight a little. I wanted him to demand proof and beg for my time. I did not get that. I got calm. Calm felt like a threat. After work, I drove toward my mother's condo, but I did not turn into her building. I kept going. I told myself I was only going for a drink, and that did not count as anything. I told myself I deserved one easy hour when nobody asked me questions. I told myself Ethan had pushed me there. That was the story I liked best. I parked near a downtown hotel. It was not a fancy place, but it looked clean and safe, and that mattered for my conscience. In my head, I was still a good person. I just had bad timing. I just had stress. I just had needs. I walked into the lobby like I belonged there. The man I met was named Gavin Rhodes. He was about my age. He had an easy smile that made me feel chosen. He did not ask about my schedule like he was checking a report. He asked how my day was. I said it was hard. He said I looked tired. I said I was always tired. He said I should be cared for. I said nobody cared for me. That was dramatic, but he liked it. People like stories where they get to be the hero. We talked near the bar, in a public space, where it still felt safe in my mind. I kept my voice quiet and my face soft. I wanted to look like a woman who was simply misunderstood. Gavin asked if Ethan knew I was there. I said Ethan never listened to me anyway. That was not fully true, but it sounded right. Gavin asked if I felt guilty. I said guilt was for people who were loved properly. That line sounded clever in my head. My phone buzzed. I saw Ethan's name pop up, and my stomach jumped. I did not answer. I told myself he was calling to control me. I told myself I was protecting my peace. Gavin asked who it was. I said it was nothing. I tilted my screen away like it was a secret I deserved to have. Another buzz came right after, not a call this time. It was a small notification, the kind you forget you ever set up. "Location shared," it said. For a second I did not understand. Then I remembered the family settings we had turned on months ago, back when it was about safety and kids and just in case. I remembered tapping yes without thinking, because it felt like love then. I told myself Ethan must be sitting at home, watching a little dot move on a map like a guard. The truth was simpler. The feature existed, and I had never turned it off. But I did not want simple. Simple would make it my fault. I wanted villain and victim, because that made my choices feel clean. I left the bar area and walked toward the elevators. I wanted to breathe. I wanted space to fix the story before it broke. I told Gavin I needed to use the restroom. He said he would wait. I could feel my pulse in my throat. In the elevator, I typed fast. I wrote to Ethan that my mom needed me to stay longer, and I might spend the night on her couch. I stared at the message before sending it. It looked cold. It looked final. It looked like something a good daughter would say. So I sent it. When the elevator doors opened, I did not go anywhere private. I did not go anywhere wrong in a way that would be obvious on camera. I walked down a hallway and stood near a window at the end, holding my phone like it was an anchor. I told myself I was still in control. Then I saw Ethan. He was not right next to me. He was down in the lobby, across the open space, near the front doors. I could see him through the railing. He was not running. He was not yelling. He was not causing a scene. He looked calm, and that calm made me feel smaller than if he had screamed. He looked up once, like he already knew where I would be. Our eyes met for a second, and my face burned. I expected him to storm over, to grab my arm, to prove my story true. He did not. He just stood there and watched, like he was seeing the real shape of me for the first time. I went back into the elevator fast. My hands shook. I told myself he was stalking me. I told myself he was humiliating me. I told myself he was making me unsafe. The truth I did not want was that he was quiet and legal and careful. That kind of person does not give you an easy excuse. When I got back down, he was still near the doors. He did not approach. He did not speak. I walked past him like he was air, because I needed to keep my pride. As I passed, he asked where my mother was. I said she was sick and I was helping her. He asked why I was at a hotel. I said I was picking up medicine from a nearby pharmacy and needed to rest for a minute. I could hear how thin it sounded, even as I said it. He did not argue. He did not beg. He did not call me names. He only said he hoped I got home safe. Then he turned and walked out. That was the moment I realized my old tools might not work. If he stayed calm, I could not point at his anger. If he stayed lawful, I could not sell my victim story. Still, I held on to it. I told myself he had tracked me, because that version hurt less than the idea that I had walked into my own trap. I sat in my car in the parking garage and stared at my phone. The location shared notice was still there, like a quiet witness that did not care about my feelings. I drove to my mother's condo anyway, just to make the lie look real. When she opened the door, she asked what happened. I said Ethan was acting crazy again. She asked if he followed me. I said yes, and I made my voice shake on purpose. My mother told me I deserved better. I nodded like that was proof. Inside me, something was already shifting. Ethan had seen me at the hotel, and he had left without a fight. That scared me more than any argument. The next morning, I acted like nothing happened. I made oatmeal for the kids, and I asked Maya about her spelling test. She said she was fine. I asked Noah what he wanted in his lunch. He said he wanted the same snack as yesterday. Ethan stood near the sink and rinsed his mug. He asked if my mother was feeling better. I said she was still weak. He asked why I looked tired. I said I barely slept because Mum kept waking up. He nodded again, like he was saving that answer too. When he left for work, he did not kiss me goodbye. I noticed it, and I told myself it was his punishment. I told myself he wanted me to feel small. I did not stop to ask why I deserved a kiss after lying straight into his face. I only felt the lack, and I got angry. At my office, I slipped into my normal role. I wore a calm face and carried a coffee like a shield. In the break room, Sienna was already there, laughing at something on her phone. She asked how my night was. I said I had been at my mom's and it was exhausting. She asked if Ethan was being weird again. I said he was getting controlling. I used that word on purpose. It was a word people understood fast. It made me sound like the one in danger. Sienna asked what he did this time. I said he showed up where I was, like he was checking on me. She asked if he tracked my phone. I said yes, and I let my eyes widen, like I was shocked by my own life. The truth was that I had shared my location myself months ago. I did not say that. I kept the part that made him look bad. A coworker named Lena poured tea and listened. She asked if I was okay. I said I was trying to keep the peace for my kids. That line always worked. People heard kids, and they stopped asking hard questions. Lena said Ethan seemed quiet and polite when he came to the holiday party. I said that was his mask. I said quiet men could still be controlling. I watched their faces, and I saw the story landing. I told myself I was protecting myself. I told myself I was building a safety net. Really, I was building an audience. If things got messy, I wanted witnesses on my side first. During lunch, I wrote in the group chat with my sister Darla. I told her Ethan was acting unstable. She asked what happened. I said he followed me last night when I went to help Mom. Darla asked why he would do that. I said he did not trust me because he was insecure. I added that he always made me feel guilty for having a life. It was easy to write. A phone screen makes lies feel light. Darla told me I should stand up for myself. She asked if I wanted to come to dinner with Mom and her after work. I said yes, and I suggested the family restaurant near the river. I knew it would be public. I wanted public. In public, Ethan would not raise his voice. In public, I could talk louder than him. All day, I watched my phone. Ethan did not call. He did not send another message. That made me feel both relieved and insulted. I told myself he was giving me the silent treatment. I told myself he was trying to scare me with distance. I did not admit the other option. He might be done chasing. When I got home, the house felt too quiet. Ethan was in the living room with Noah, building a small tower from blocks. Noah laughed when it fell. Ethan smiled at Noah, not at me. I asked how his day was. He said it was fine. I asked if he had eaten. He said he already ate something quick. His tone was flat, like he was reading a weather report. I moved closer, testing him. I asked if he was still upset about last night. He said he was not trying to fight. I said he embarrassed me, showing up like that. He said he did not say a word to me there. I said the fact that he was there was the point. He said he had asked one question, and I had answered. He looked at me like he wanted to see what I would do next. I felt heat rise in my chest. I wanted him to react. I wanted proof that he was the villain. So I pushed. I said he was acting like my father, always suspicious. He asked what that had to do with anything. I said it meant he could not handle a strong woman. He did not shout. He just told me he would pick up Maya from after school today because he wanted to. I heard the boundary in that simple sentence, and it made me feel powerless. In the car on the way to dinner, I rehearsed my lines. I told myself I would be calm and mature. I told myself Ethan would look bad if he stayed cold. I even practiced my sad face in the rearview mirror at a red light. I hate that I did that, but I did. At the restaurant, my mother and Darla were already seated at a long table near the window. Sienna had come too, like it was a show. I walked in with the kids, and Ethan followed behind us. My mother hugged me and asked if I was okay. I said I was tired, but fine. She asked Ethan how he was. He said he was fine too. He kept it polite. That politeness made my mother bristle, because she liked bigger drama. She liked clear sides. We ate and the adults talked in circles. Darla asked if my mum needed anything. Mum said she needed respect. Sienna asked Ethan if he was still monitoring Bree. Ethan asked what she meant. Sienna said I told her he tracked me. Ethan looked at me for a second, then looked back at Sienna. He said he did not want to discuss private things in public. He said he cared about our family and wanted peace. His words were simple. They sounded reasonable. That made me feel threatened. Reasonable men are hard to attack. So I sharpened my voice. I said he always tried to control where I went and who I saw. Ethan asked, when he had ever stopped me from seeing my mum. I said it was not about stopping me. It was about pressure. I said he made me feel watched. Mum leaned in and said Ethan was paranoid. Darla nodded. Sienna smirked, like she had won. Ethan did not shout. He did not insult anyone. He simply paid for the meal before dessert came. Then he told Maya it was time to go home. Maya asked why we were leaving early. He said it was getting late and she had school tomorrow. Maya looked at me, confused, and I pretended not to see it. At home, Ethan went straight to the guest room. I followed him to the hallway and asked why he was doing this. He asked why I was making our marriage a group sport. I said I was trying to get support because he would not listen. He said he listened, but he would not perform. I said he was punishing me. He said he was protecting his peace. Later, after the kids were asleep, I sat on the couch and scrolled my phone, waiting for some sign that he was hurting. I wanted a message that said he was sorry. I wanted him to beg, because begging would mean I still had power. Instead, I heard a sound from the home office. It was low and steady, like a small machine working. I got up and walked closer. The door was closed. The sound stopped. I stood there for a moment, then walked back to the couch, pretending it was nothing. Before bed, I went to the kitchen for water and noticed something on the fridge. A new calendar note was stuck under a magnet, neat and plain. It said, "Downtown 9:40 a.m." I stared at it longer than I should have, and my throat felt tight. I did not ask Ethan about the calendar note. I told myself it was work. I told myself it was a dentist appointment. I told myself it was nothing. But I kept seeing the words in my mind, like a stain you cannot scrub. The next day, I watched Ethan more than I watched the kids. He moved through the morning like a person who had already decided something. He packed Noah's lunch with the same care as always. He brushed Maya's hair when she asked, and he did it gently. He asked me if I could pick up a prescription for my mother after work. I said yes, because it made my helping mum story sound real. He thanked me like we were coworkers. That thank you made me angry. When he left, I stood at the window and waited for him to turn back, to check on me, to look guilty. He did not. His car backed out clean and drove away. At work, I felt restless. I kept opening my phone and closing it. Around mid-morning, I saw a missed call from no caller ID. It rang only once. I told myself it was spam. I also told myself it could be Ethan setting a trap, because my brain liked to make him the villain. It kept my own choices from looking like choices. Sienna came by my desk and asked if I wanted to go to the gym after work. I said I was busy with my mom, but I also said maybe. She asked if Ethan was still sleeping in the guest room. I said yes. She asked if he was doing it to punish me. I said yes, because that sounded better than the truth, which was that he did it because he did not want to share a bed with lies. At lunch, I stepped into a quiet stairwell and called Gavin. I told him I missed him. He asked if I was safe. I said Ethan was acting strange. He asked what strange meant. I said Ethan kept showing up where I was. Gavin said that sounded scary. I liked hearing that. It made my life feel like a movie where I was important. Gavin asked if I wanted to meet again. I said I could not. Then I paused. Then I said, maybe just for a drink, somewhere public. He suggested the same hotel lobby because it was easy. I said yes, and I told myself I was only doing it because I needed someone to listen. I did not say I also needed the risk, the feeling that I could still take what I wanted. When I got home after work, Ethan was already there. He was in the kitchen, washing dishes with his sleeves rolled up. He looked calm again. I asked how his day was. He said it was fine. I asked if he had plans later. He said he would take the kids to the park for an hour. I said I wanted to come. He said I could, but his tone made it clear he did not need me there. That stung. In the hallway, I noticed the guest bed looked slightly disturbed, like he had actually slept well. I noticed 2 mugs on opposite sides of the counter, spaced like strangers. I told myself he was doing it to make me feel lonely. I did not consider that he might be doing it to survive. At the park, Maya stayed close to Ethan. She asked him if he was mad at me. He said he was not mad at her. She asked if we were still a family. He said we were still her parents, always. I listened from the bench and felt a cold twist in my stomach. He did not promise what I wanted. He promised what was true. Noah ran toward the swings, and Ethan pushed him gently. Noah laughed. I watched Ethan's hands, steady and patient, and it made my story harder to hold. A villain is not supposed to push swings with that kind of care. Later, back at home, I told Ethan I needed to check on my mom. He asked what time I would be back. I said I did not know. He said okay. That was it. No fight, no begging. I went to the bedroom to change. My phone buzzed again, and I saw that same small notice about location sharing. I tried to convince myself it was proof that Ethan was tracking me. I did not turn it off. Part of me wanted him to see, so I could keep calling him controlling. Sienna texted and asked if I wanted her to cover for me if anyone asked. I told her yes. I wrote that I was doing family stuff. I hated how easy it was to build a cover with one sentence. I drove to the gym first, just to make my timeline look normal. I walked through the lobby, scanned in, and bought a bottled water I did not need. I nodded at the front desk worker, so someone would remember seeing me. I told myself that was smart. I did not tell myself it was dishonest, because that word made me itch. Gavin met me outside a few minutes later. He asked if I was sure. I said yes. He asked if Ethan knew. I said Ethan did not need to know everything. I said it like it was confidence, but it was selfishness. We drove separately to the hotel. I parked in the garage and sat in my car for a full minute, breathing hard. I checked my phone and saw my mother had sent a message asking if I was coming over this weekend. I felt a flash of shame. Then I buried it under anger and told myself my mother had no idea what I was dealing with. That was not fair to her, but fairness was not my skill. In the lobby, Gavin stood near a tall plant and smiled when he saw me. He asked how I was holding up. I said Ethan was acting like a stranger. Gavin said Ethan sounded cold. I said Ethan made me feel unwanted. Gavin said I deserved warmth. His words slid into me like sugar. My phone lit up. A notification sounded soft, almost polite. I saw Ethan's name again, not calling, just a brief banner. It was a message preview that said, "Are you still at your mum's?" My heart jumped. Gavin asked what it was. I said it was nothing, and I put the phone face down on the table. I told myself Ethan was trying to trap me. I told myself he had no right to ask. I did not admit he was asking because spouses usually ask where the other spouse is. I wanted my lie to be normal, so I treated his question like a crime. I stood and said I needed air. I walked toward the front doors, and that was when I saw him. Ethan was across the lobby again, near the entrance, like a quiet shadow you cannot argue with. He did not rush at me. He did not grab me. He did not even look angry. He looked tired. For a second, I saw the hurt I had been pretending did not exist, and it made my throat close. He stepped closer, but still kept space. He asked if my mother was okay. I said yes. He asked why I was here again. I said I was meeting Sienna to talk, and she had chosen this spot. It was a bad lie because Sienna was not there. I said it anyway. He looked past me just once, like he had already noticed Gavin. Then he looked back at me and said he did not want a scene. He said he hoped I would come home safe. I waited for him to demand my phone, to yell, to prove my story. He did not. He turned and walked out, calm and lawful and quiet, and I stood there with my face burning, because his silence did not give me anything to fight. It only gave me the truth, sitting heavy in the middle of the lobby where everyone could see it. After the second hotel moment, I stopped calling it a mistake. I started calling it proof. In my head, Ethan was the problem because he kept appearing. I told myself a normal husband would not show up like that. I did not want to admit the obvious thing, which was that I kept going to the same place, and I never turned off the shared location. On Saturday morning, I took the kids to the playground by myself. Ethan said he had errands. He asked what time we would be back. I said not long. He said okay, and he handed Noah his jacket. His voice stayed calm, like he was trying not to spill something. At the playground, Maya sat next to me on the bench. She watched the other parents, not the slides. She asked why Dad looked sad lately. I said he was stressed from work. She asked if Dad was mad at me. I said he was being dramatic. I told her adults sometimes act strange when they do not get their way. I heard my own words and felt a small sting because I knew I was teaching her something ugly. Noah ran back and forth with the ball and kept shouting for me to watch. I said I was watching, but my eyes kept sliding to my phone. Gavin had not answered my last message. That bothered me more than it should have. I told myself he was busy. I told myself he was protecting me by being quiet. I did not want to admit he liked the fun part, not the hard part. Sienna called while I sat on the bench. She asked if Ethan was still acting calm. I said yes, and I said it like an insult. She asked if he cried yet. I said no. Sienna laughed and said maybe he was planning something. I told her he could plan all he wanted. I had the truth. She asked what truth. I said the truth was, he tracked me and embarrassed me. I left out that he did not raise his voice or touch me or even block my path. I needed my version to stay sharp. After the playground, I drove to my mother's condo with the kids. Mom opened the door fast, like she had been waiting. She asked if Ethan was behaving. I said he was acting like a stranger and trying to punish me with silence. She asked if he was still checking my phone. I said yes, even though he had not touched my phone. My mother shook her head like she already knew the ending. At the kitchen table, Mum made tea and talked in big statements. She said men always feared strong women. She said Ethan wanted to own me. She said I needed to show him I had options. I nodded, because nodding was easier than thinking. Darla arrived a little later, and she brought pastries, and that same excited look she got when drama felt like a show. Darla asked if Ethan had apologized yet. I said no. She asked if I told him he crossed a line at the hotel. I said I told him he scared me. That was not fully true. I had not said scared. I had said embarrassed. But scared sounded more serious, and serious sounded more justified. My stepfather Gordon was there too, reading a paper on the couch. He looked up and asked where Ethan was. I said he had errands and did not want to spend time with us. Gordon asked what errands. I said I did not know because Ethan refused to communicate. Gordon said sometimes quiet was communication. I did not like that. I told him he always defended men. He said he defended facts. I rolled my eyes and changed the subject. Later, we all went to a casual restaurant for lunch, the kind with bright menus and loud tables. I chose a table near other people. I wanted to be seen. I wanted my life to have witnesses. While we ate, Mum told a story about a friend whose husband tracked her and how she escaped. She looked at me when she said the word escaped. Darla asked if I felt trapped. I said yes. I said Ethan had been controlling for years. I said he used calm words as a weapon. I said he acted like a victim when he was really the one hurting me. Maya pushed her fries around and did not eat much. She asked if Dad was coming. I said Dad was busy. She asked if Dad still loved us. I said of course he loved them, and I added that adults just had problems. She asked if we would still live in the same house. I told her not to worry. I felt annoyed that she worried, because worry made the story messy. When we got home, Ethan was in the garage with the trunk open. He was moving labeled folders into a small storage bin. I saw words like utilities and bank on the tabs. He did not hide them. He did not act guilty. He simply lifted the bin into the trunk like it was normal. I asked what he was doing. He said he was organizing household records. I said he never cared about that before. He said he cared now. I said he was acting weird. He said he wanted things clean. His tone stayed polite, and that politeness made me feel like I was the one yelling. even when I did not raise my voice. Inside, I noticed the home office door was closed again. I walked past it and heard a tiny click, like a drawer locking. I paused, but I did not knock. I told myself I had a right to know what he was doing. Then I told myself it was better not to know, because knowing might force me to face the shape of the truth. That evening, I went to a coworker happy hour on a rooftop patio. I said it was for networking. Ethan asked who would be there. I said the usual people. He asked if Sienna would be there. I said yes. He asked if I would be home for bedtime. I said I would try. He said okay. And he asked Maya if she wanted to watch a movie with him. Maya said yes too fast, like she was hungry for something steady. At the patio, I did not talk about work much. I talked about Ethan. I made it sound like I was brave. I told my manager Troy that marriage was hard when your partner was controlling. Troy asked what I meant. I said Ethan tracked my GPS and showed up where I was. Troy frowned and said that sounded serious. I said it was serious. I said I felt unsafe sometimes. The word unsafe made people lean in. It made them take my side without asking for details. Lena asked if I had proof. I laughed and said the proof was how Ethan acted. I said he stayed calm because he was manipulative. I said calm was his mask. Sienna nodded like she was my witness. I could feel the group shifting toward me, and I liked it. Being believed is a kind of power. When I got home, the house was dark except for the kitchen light. Ethan was at the table with a laptop open. I saw rows and columns, like a spreadsheet. I saw dates. I saw short notes. I could not read them clearly, but I saw enough to feel my stomach drop. I asked what he was doing. He said he was sorting schedules. I asked what schedules. He said kid schedules and household tasks. I said he was making a case against me. He looked up and asked why everything had to be a war. I said because he started it by tracking me. He said he did not want to argue. He closed the laptop slowly, like he did not want to feed my panic. He stood up and said goodnight. I followed him a few steps and asked if he was going to tell everyone lies about me. He asked what lies he needed when the truth was already heavy. I snapped that he was trying to scare me. He said he was trying to stay calm for the kids. In the middle of the night, I woke up thirsty. I walked toward the kitchen and smelled a faint toner smell, like a printer had been used. I stopped near the office door and heard a soft whir, then a click. A moment later, I heard paper slide out. Then nothing. I went back to bed and stared at the ceiling. I told myself Ethan was plotting like a villain. I told myself I was still the victim, but my chest felt tight, because deep down I knew something was changing, and I had not planned for the part where my story stopped working. Monday came with a strange quiet in the house. It was the kind of quiet that made every small sound feel loud. The fridge hummed. The faucet dripped once. Ethan's footsteps were steady, like he had a route. I tried to act normal. I packed lunches and asked the kids about school. Maya answered in short words. Noah kept looking toward the guest room door, like he expected Ethan to come back out and fix something. Ethan walked into the kitchen with his phone in his hand. He asked if I could send him the receipt from my mother's prescription. I said I did not keep it. He asked how I paid. I said I used our card. He nodded and said he would check the statement later. The way he said it was calm, and it made me feel watched, even though he was not even looking at me. I told myself he was doing financial control now. I told myself he was the type of man who punished a woman by making her prove everything. I did not admit that proving things is what honest people do without fear. At work, I tried to keep my story warm and fresh. I told Sienna that Ethan was tightening rules at home. She asked if he was trying to trap me. I said yes. I told her he kept asking for details about my day, and it felt invasive. She asked if I wanted her to talk to HR with me, just in case. I said maybe. I liked having the option. Options made me feel powerful. In the afternoon, my manager Troy asked if I could step into the small HR side room with him for a quick word. He said it was not a formal thing. He said he just wanted to make sure everything was okay, because I had mentioned feeling unsafe. I told him I appreciated his care. I said my husband was escalating. I said he used GPS to show up where I was. Troy asked if Ethan had ever threatened me. I said he threatened me with his silence. I could see Troy trying to understand, and I leaned into that confusion. Confusion helps a person fill in gaps with their own fears. On the way home, I stopped at a bank ATM. I withdrew a small amount of cash. I told myself it was for my mother. I told myself it was for groceries. The truth was that I wanted money he could not trace easily, because part of me wanted to keep meeting Gavin if the chance came back. I also wanted a backup plan, because Ethan's calm had started to feel like a door closing. When I got home, Ethan was at the dining table with a stack of folders. The tabs were plain: household, utilities, bank. He was not hiding them. That made me more nervous than if he had shoved them into a drawer. He asked if I could tell him the school pickup plan for the week. I said I always did pickup. He said he wanted a clear schedule because it helped the kids. I said the kids were fine. He said Maya had asked him if she needed to pack a bag to go between homes. That sentence hit me like a slap because it showed the kids were seeing more than I pretended. I marched toward the guest room and said he was filling their heads. Ethan said he did not talk badly about me to them. He said he only answered their questions in a calm way. I said calm did not mean kind. He said he was trying to be steady because the children needed steady. That evening, Ruth called. I could hear her voice through Ethan's phone speaker, low and controlled. Ethan asked me if I wanted to talk to her. I said no, but I still listened. Ruth asked Ethan how the kids were. She asked if Maya was sleeping. She asked if Noah was eating. She did not ask about me. That stung. Ethan told her the kids were okay and that he was keeping routines. Ruth said she would help with pickups if needed. Then she asked if I was still telling people Ethan tracked me. Ethan did not answer right away. He asked what she meant. Ruth said she heard it from a family friend, and it needed to stop because it was not fair and it would confuse the kids. Ethan said he was not trying to control what I said. Ruth said it was not about control, it was about truth. When he hung up, I snapped at him and asked if his mother was building a case. He asked why I used that phrase again. I said because I could feel it. I said everyone was lining up against me. He said nobody needed to line up. He said I was doing enough on my own. I went cold and quiet for a while. Then I did what I always did when I felt cornered. I tried to flip the roles. I told him he was emotionally abusive. I told him his silence was manipulation. I told him he was making me into the bad guy. Ethan asked why I had been to that hotel twice. I said he was obsessing. He asked if I wanted to answer. I said the hotel was near the gym and near a pharmacy, and he was twisting it. He said he had not twisted anything. He said he only asked because the story did not add up. I could feel my control slipping, so I reached for a bigger weapon. I told him I could go to HR and report him for harassment if he kept showing up where I was. He asked how he could harass me when he had not contacted my workplace. I said harassment was not always loud. I said it could be patterns. I said people would believe me. He looked at me for a long moment. He did not shout. He did not call me names. He asked if I really wanted to do that to the father of my children. I said he should have thought of that before tracking me. He said he did not track me. He said the location feature was shared by both of us, and I could turn it off any time. That made my face burn. I hated that he said it so simply, because it made my big story sound childish. I told him he was gaslighting me now, using tech words to confuse me. He asked if I knew what gaslighting meant. I said it meant he made me doubt my reality. He said my reality had holes. Later, Maya stood in the stairwell and watched us. She asked if we were getting divorced. I said no, and told her not to say that word. Ethan told her she was allowed to ask questions. Maya asked why Dad slept in the guest room. I told her Dad was being stubborn. Ethan told her he slept there because he wanted peace at night. Maya asked if peace meant we did not love each other anymore. I felt my throat tighten, but I still protected my pride first. I told Maya that love was complicated and Dad was making it harder. Ethan told Maya that she was loved and safe and that adult problems were not her job. He said it calmly, like a promise. That night, I tried to bait Ethan through text even though we were in the same house. I sent a message from the bedroom asking if he was going to keep punishing me. I wanted him to answer in anger so I could screenshot it. He did not. He walked to the doorway and asked why I was texting him like a stranger. I said I wanted proof of how cold he was. He said he would not give me proof to use as a weapon. I followed him into the hall and told him he was weak. I told him he was afraid to face me. I told him he would lose me if he kept acting like this. He stopped on the landing and looked down the stairs, like he was choosing his next step carefully. Then he turned back to me. He said he was done with late-night fights. He said he would not argue in front of the kids. He said he would handle things properly. I went to work the next morning like I could still steer the story. I wore my best blouse and my calm face. I told myself Ethan would cool down. I told myself his properly line was just drama with a nice mask. In the elevator, I opened my phone and checked my messages. There was nothing from him. That silence felt like a dare. I told myself he was trying to scare me. I told myself I would not be scared. At the office, I found Sienna near the coffee machine. She asked if I was okay. I said Ethan was still being strange. She asked if he was still tracking me. I said yes, and I said it loud enough for Lena to hear. Lena glanced over but did not smile this time. Sienna said I should talk to HR again. I said I already planted the seed. Around 10, Troy sent me a message and asked if I could come to the lobby for a quick check-in. He said HR was there too, just to keep things professional. My stomach tightened, but I told myself it was good. A public space meant safety for me. A public space also meant witnesses for my version. When I walked into the office tower lobby, I saw Troy near the reception desk with an HR rep. I also saw Ethan, standing a few steps away, calm and still. He did not block my path. He did not raise his voice. He looked like a man waiting for a bus. I asked Troy what was going on. He said someone needed to speak with me and it would be brief. I asked Ethan why he was there. He said he was handling things properly. I told him he was harassing me at work. He said he had not contacted my workplace and he was not here to talk. He kept his hands at his sides and his voice low. A woman I did not know approached and asked if I was Berenice Larkin. I said yes, and I tried to sound firm. She said she had legal documents for me. I laughed once like it was a joke, and I looked at Troy as if to say, "Can you believe this?" Troy did not laugh back. The woman asked me to confirm my name again. I did. She handed me an envelope. I did not want to take it, but the lobby felt too bright, and too many eyes were on me. I took it. I said Ethan was using GPS to stalk me. Ethan said the location sharing had been on for months, and I could turn it off any time. I said he was twisting tech to confuse people. He said he was not here to argue. The HR rep asked if Ethan had threatened me. I said he threatened me with silence. The HR rep paused and wrote something down without looking impressed. My hands shook as I opened the envelope. The top pages said, "Petition for divorce and temporary orders." I felt heat rush into my face. I flipped pages and saw lines about the home, the kids, and money. I saw words like exclusive use and schedule and restrictions. I looked up at Ethan and asked if he was trying to take my children. He said he was trying to give them structure. I asked Troy to tell him to stop. Troy said this was not a workplace matter and he could not intervene. I asked the HR rep what I was supposed to do. She said I should read it carefully and contact my own professional support. My eyes landed on one sentence near the middle. It said the temporary plan was effective immediately. My throat went dry. I heard the lobby sounds again. The doors, the phones, the footsteps, like I had been underwater and just surfaced. Ethan said Ruth would handle today's school pickup under the new schedule, and he said it like a weather report. I stared at the words, effective immediately, and I could not find a story big enough to cover them.